Does anyone here remember how to use one of these? Like, I can't even fold it back up. You know, how did we use that to navigate back in the day? If you grew up using one, you probably still can. Planning a trip was a ton different than it is today. It was always an open conversation. How are you going to get there? You know, my dad was usually the one asking the question. I was like, I don't know, it'll just work. And he's like, which road are you going to take? How are you going to get there? And he was always a good navigator because he was a sales rep, and he could pretty much tell you which route was the quickest, how you were going to get there, and within 30 minutes. And I always thought that was impressive. When we used maps, we knew where to turn, and we paid attention a whole lot more than we have to now. We had to actually understand the route. Today we hop in our car. A lot of times if we're going a certain direction, I'm not typing it in until I'm on the way, going down the interstate or something. Maybe we pick between two routes, but we rely on the GPS to tell us which one's faster, which one's quicker, how we get there. We definitely do not understand the steps to get there. And if we lose reception, as we have, it's a crisis. We don't know where to turn, and half the time, if you did have a map with you, you don't even know where you are when it goes out, which road you pass, where do we turn. Let's take a look at Acts 27:20 about Paul's shipwreck. Acts chapter 27, verse 20. He said, when we could not see the sun or stars for many days, and the storm was very bad, we lost all hope of being saved. That was the New Century Version. Well, just like they used the sun and stars to navigate then, in Paul's days, we have to have the Bible to make sure that we're on track in our Christian lives. We got to use something to help us driving, and life is no different. To reach our goal as Christians, we have to understand the route. And if we make a wrong turn, we're in charge of our own autocorrect. There's no lady's voice that pops up that says, make a U-turn. I mean, unless you're married. So that might be. But, you know, if we're going to the beach and we're going north on I-65, when do we choose to turn back? If you've ever got on the interstate and made the wrong north and south, you know the feeling. When do you choose to turn back? The quicker we realize it, the less backtracking we have to do. Well, the same thing applies to us in life. Like the story of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15, verse 17. When he realized what he was doing, he thought, all of my father's servants have plenty of food, but here I am, almost dying with hunger. But I like the way the NIV says it better. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's servants, hired servants, have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. I will set out, go back to my father, and say to him, I have sinned against heaven and against you. It's possible that a few of us in here are hard-headed and don't always choose the easy way. It might take some of us longer than others to come to our senses, especially if we're using the wrong map or following the wrong influences that we think are right at the time. How easy is it to get distracted in all the noise in the world that we have to deal with now? But how can we reach our destination without planning and correcting along the way? Luckily for us, God gives us a map that we can use. And if we use the plan and the Bible, then we'll get there. We'll get where we need to be. It's that simple. If there's anyone that needs to make a U-turn or has any needs, please come forward as we stand and sing.